reading a few of the reports on the West Ham game of victory against Everton at Goodison Park, and I mean, football's funny, isn't it? You don't always find yourself in agreement with everybody, and a few people have called it sort of sensational, and that West Ham had a lot of flair and played Everton off the park and were in full control. And actually, maybe the full control and the flair are two separate different things. You can have control and not be a particularly attacking threat. And I think we did have levels of control in that game. I think that's fair. But I don't think we had the level of dominance that some of the reports that I've read would suggest. And I say this as looking at it now. Excuse me. Okay, it's basically an hour and a quarter after the final whistle. Because I think West Ham played okay. I don't think we played particularly well, but we won and we found a way to win. And that is far more impressive for me in many respects than playing well and winning. Because West Ham have always been able to play well and win. But this, a gritty away win at Goodison Park, against a team, actually exactly this sort of Everton team, who are well organised, who have some match winners, granted not as many as they might like, and certainly they're missing Calvert-Lewin and so on and so forth, but it's a good, well organised Everton team with a winner as a manager to go away from home against a team that haven't lost at home, and pick up a win, I think is absolutely magnificent. There are a few different things in the game that I want to pick up on, but it's this change in West Ham's emphasis, this change in West Ham. Now, there's an old saying about not noticing small change, and it's true. It's that one whereby, but yeah, like through lockdown, for instance, you don't see people through lockdown. You see them with the kids, and they say, "God, look at the kids! Look at the size of them! Look how much they've grown!" And you think, "Have they?" Well, because you see them every day. You don't notice the small change, and I have to keep reminding myself to recognise this small change in West Ham, which is seeing us becoming actually functional and gritty and organised. Because West Ham don't go and do what we've just done and win that game against Everton. I've mentioned. When I first noticed how can I say it? When I first noticed that we weren't particularly losing back-to-back games, or certainly going on losing streaks, I was reluctant at first to even mention it, to even say, "Oh, by the way, have you noticed this about us now?" But the longer it's gone on, I feel okay to say it now, which is when we lose a game, I think, well, actually, I know we're not going to go on and lose the next 2 or 3 games, because we're not going to suddenly slump into a patch of poor form, because even if we're not playing well, even if we're not passing the ball well, the final pass isn't there, we still have the ability to win games. We don't roll over and have our tummy tickled, and I've said this on numerous occasions. We're now a tough egg to crack. We really are. And how many analogies do you want? I think we're now predictably efficient. And when I look at that performance against Everton, there were times when the passes were going awry. I didn't feel that with Benrahma and Antonio it particularly linked well together. However, we had enough. We had enough about us, and certainly if you were looking at it from an outsider's point of view, you wouldn't have looked at it and thought that anyone other than West Ham was going to win. Look, Everton had their moments. Great block from Zuma, great block from Ogbonna. Aside from that, it was pretty much West Ham in the ascendancy. I felt very much that they were clutching at straws by going on about this Andros Townsend delivery. I didn't feel it was particularly dangerous. Let's be honest. You always measure it. How much did your goalkeeper have to do? Not a lot. Fabi actually did not have a lot to do in this game. He really didn't. And put it this way, blocks are good. Blocks means your defence are stopping it from getting to the goalkeeper anyway. I felt Pickford had a lot more to do. Thought it was a lot more active. Thought there was a lot more play. Well, we just had a lot more possession. We had a lot more play in the Everton area. Generally a good performance. Few things I didn't know. And I wanted to pop this up, by the way, which is Thomas Suchik's injury. I don't know if you've seen it. If you've seen the picture, I'll try and pop it up on screen now. That's nasty. That's what blades that are on the bottom of football boots do to a face. Particularly when there's a lot of force exerted on the leg. Now, And unless I saw the guy look back and try and stamp on his face, I don't think he did. And I think I said in the review it was Alan. Some people have said it was Rondon that did it. It doesn't really matter who did it. The point is, it was a very, very nasty injury, regardless of whatever happened. And I really do think that should have been dealt with by the referee. I'm not saying the player should have necessarily got a red card, but they should have dealt with it. They should have been attention. They should have been, he played on. It was quite clear what had happened. The injury is absolutely nasty. The referee shouldn't have played on. And at the point where Souček has to go off, there's got to be some provision in the game where West Ham don't get penalised, even though we were the victims in that. But I tell you what, you just know Souček would have wanted to come back on for that because he is an absolute warrior. We talk about these people, and if you go back to my moan about Neymar, I hate the way he plays, I hate the way Ramos plays, I hate the way but basically someone breathes on these players and they just fall over. I think it's an absolute disgrace actually when I see it happening. And no, I don't think Antonio was one of those players at all. Because I don't think he dived, I don't think he claimed for it. What you see with Souček is a tough guy. I'm telling you now, he's going to be available and wanting to play in the next game. Realistically, will Moyes play him in the European game? No. But if he doesn't play, it won't be because of the stitches, it won't be because of the facial injury, it will be because Moyes wasn't going to play him anyway. Would you look at the other one? What was it? I think it was Godfrey. I think Antonio basically touched him. I always look at these things as in, was there enough force to make someone fall over, to lose their balance? And if the answer's no, then I just think we'll just get up and just play on. It's a separate thing of whether that's a dive or not. But basically, is there enough force to make him fall over? No. And I think when Antonio touched Godfrey, I think on the arm or the back or something like that. And honestly, he fell over like he'd been hit by, I was going to say Mike Tyson. If he went over like he'd been hit, like Deontay Wilder when he got hit by Tyson Fury. I mean, he really did. It's just, you know what, there's no need for that. And the comparison between a tough guy like Souček and a guy like Godfrey is absolutely stark. It really is. And I think it may be things like that's the change with West Ham. I can't quite get. Everton fans will recognise this because Everton fans would have had players like that, like Souček. They would have had players like that at Everton under Moyes. As I've mentioned them before, Gravison and Kazi and people like that. Duncan Ferguson, of course. There would have been loads of them. Phil Jagielka. There you go. That's at least 4 of these tough nut players who just don't stop and are relentless. And I just think maybe when the game is of crap quality, and I do think that West Ham Everton game was crap quality. It actually comes down to the will to win, a bit of fight and a bit of battle. And I think you were just seeing tons of that. And if you've got people in your team with a mentality like Souček facing up against people in a team who have a mentality like Godfrey, then there's only really, when it comes down to an attritional battle, going to be one winner. And funnily enough, I know he's got a reputation of being an attacker and whatnot. But someone like Richarlison does have a bit of bite in him. He does have a bit of nastiness. And I just wonder if it wasn't just the attacking, the goals, the assists from Richarlison that Everton missed. Maybe it was actually that little bit of grit, that little bit of determination as well, because he's certainly got a lot of it. In terms of the context of the win, which is really what I wanted to talk about, us being in 5th or joint 5th is huge. So it's us, it's Man United, it's... Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to have a little look now. Because as I was watching this, it's Everton. It's not bloody Everton, is it? What I'm talking about? It is Newcastle are playing Tottenham. So I believe Tottenham, if they win, would go above us. Okay, Tottenham are winning 2-1 against Newcastle. You got to laugh really because if you'd read all the stories, it was basically Newcastle were just going to win, weren't they? You know, Tottenham were just turning up. Tottenham, it wasn't part of the whole show. If you'd watched the build-up to the West Ham game, you wouldn't have thought West Ham were playing Everton. You would have just thought it was just basically Newcastle news, wasn't it, really? So, and Tottenham didn't play much of a part in the build-up either. So, it looks like, okay, so Tottenham are going to be properly 5th. West Ham are going to be joint 6th if the result carries on like this, and I don't see why it wouldn't really at the moment. But the context of that is really important, particularly off the back of our loss against Brentford, which is annoying, to say the least. It's still a little bit annoying, has to be said. Because what it does is, well, last season we had an excellent season, right? We finished 6th. Well, look where we are now. If you look at the Premier League table now, after 8 games, so let's say a quarter of the way through the Premier League, frightening, isn't it? Really, when you think, it feels like Premier League's only just started, but it is. It's pretty much a quarter of the way through. There we are in 6th again. So actually, the suggestion that the European campaign will somehow blunt our league campaign, that doesn't really stand up. As I mentioned before, you're going to have to separate that from when we play in Europe, how do we perform in our next league match? Until we win, that argument's still going to be there. But last season we had no European campaign, we finished 6th. This season, a quarter of the way in, we have a European campaign and we're 6th. And we're still in the League Cup. And this is really important because you're not going to play well all the time. And we didn't play well today, but can you win when you don't play well? Well, that's the thing. I think Leeds was an interesting game, because obviously we won it quite late in the game. But I thought Leeds were very, very good for parts of that game. It's funny, isn't it, actually? You look at it, I thought Leeds, I was far more impressed with Leeds than I was with Everton today. But you get the impression Everton are going to finish higher than Leeds. I know they're above them in the league anyway. But just playing flamboyant football, and we know as West Ham fans, because we did it traditionally for years, that's not the be-all and end-all. That's not everything. That's not just always going to get you where you want to go. You've got to be able to grind out the results, and this is what's different now. And this is what is keeping us up in, well, I guess in joint 6th. I've read something, we're leading a bit of a charmed life because Antonio's remained fit. Well, yes, that much is true, but I do think we've suffered fatigue like other teams. And even if you look at what's happened today with Ben Johnson, he's our third choice right back, and he did pretty damn well, it has to be said. So we have our fair share of injuries, we really do. And I think at some point you've got to start to praise the medical team. For a long time, and you'll remember this, we had a massive suggestion at West Ham that the training ground was cursed. Why do West Ham get more injuries than anyone else? Well, you know what? And I used to hear that suggestion. Maybe it was the composition of the ground or the turf, or do you know what? Just maybe it wasn't it wasn't that the soil was a bit sandy or the grass was a bit long or whatever. It may have been suggested. Maybe, just maybe, we didn't have the right physios. Maybe our medical department wasn't that good. Why would it be any different that David Moyes is revamping the scouting, he's revamping the team? Why would the medical department be any different? Maybe, just maybe, he's brought better people in there. Maybe the aftercare, maybe the pre-match routine, maybe the stretches, maybe the warm-ups, maybe the physiotherapy, maybe all of that is just a damn sight better than it was before, and we're managing to keep people off the treatment table. I don't know. I don't know. But I do look at this now and I think, well, this is really good. If we can get another win in Europe, then we can actually spend the rest of the time focusing on the league. And I would suggest that we ain't in a bad position at all. Today's game was crucial. I say today, I know you'll be watching this tomorrow, you'll be watching this on Monday, but it was crucial. Because we would have been very much mid-table. We absolutely would have been. It would have been 8 games, it would have been 11 points. And while that's absolutely fine, it would have been I think it would have been a case of, okay, we're not quite as good as last season. And that would have been okay, because we got the European campaign, we got the League Cup, we got the other things going on. But actually, it looks as though we're as good as last season. And that's no bad thing at all. That's no bad thing at all, because I think we'll get better. I think we'll improve. I think, as you know from video earlier in the week, that we'll be looking to bring other players in. And that's one of the hard fixtures. Okay, it's not quite Liverpool at Anfield, right? But, and there'll be loads of you that watching this at sort of my age and whatnot who will know what I'm talking about here. Everton away at Goodison Park has been tough for years. Away games for West Ham have been tough for years. But I tell you what, our record away from home is sensational. And I look at that now, I just think our record compared to West Ham of 3 years ago, or whatever the case may be, is amazing. It's amazing. I'm absolutely delighted with this. I thought the football was crap. I didn't think it was particularly entertaining. But you look at where we're being taken as a club, And that is remarkable.